to another Wright Stew podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian Wright. Still, hey, our numbers looking like more people are listening, more people are watching. Not as much on YouTube, but at least on, maybe some other platforms.
On the podcast proper, we can check numbers and they're looking good, folks. So we appreciate you sharing out there. We appreciate you getting the word out, and people are like it. So Brian, actually, you know what? I've got something that I've done that is beyond stupid, really dumb. So for the past couple of episodes, I've been saying, hey, you know what? Email us. Ask us some questions.
I thought it was, Paulie.
And you know what? I've been giving out the wrong email.
It was my fault. I set it up.
So it's actually, so here it is. It's actually Wright Stewart podcast at gmail.com. So it's Wright as in Brian's last name, Stewart as in my complete last name, podcast at Gmail. So if you want to reach us, Wright Stewart podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, and we can definitely, we do a pretty good job coming up with ideas. I feel like that's the reason the audience is what it is. But absolutely. I do think anytime somebody has a subject matter that if they don't text us, and I do think we have people that listen to it that don't necessarily know us, but definitely reach out that way, and we'd be happy to cover almost anything.
So if you want to reach us, we would love to hear from you. If you just have opinions or just want to tell us how handsome we are, Wright Stewart podcast at gmail.com. Perfect. So sorry for the miscommunication the past couple pods, but there it is. We got it down. So Brian, we haven't talked a lot about Super Bowl, and so today was the big fiasco, the big media day where people are out there asking all the questions, and I saw a few people were asking Patrick Mahomes who his favorite referee was, and then other people were asking Travis Kelce kind of similar questions, and really it seems like it's turned into more whoever is asking the question is trying to make a name for themselves, or they're trying to garner some sort of spotlight. I remember a few years ago the young lady was like proposing to Tom Brady, asking him to marry her. So it seems like there's a lot, and I think some of the guys have a lot of fun with it. But you've got to kind of toe the line between being like kind of a jerk and legitimately answering questions and then having fun with it at the same time.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, I could do that now. But you think about, or I don't think I would have done well at 23, 24, 25 years old. And even now, some of the questions make me uncomfortable. And I'm more of a meat and potatoes. I'm not a big tailgater, right? I like the event. I don't like all the pomp and circumstance. I just like the competition. I like watching the competition.
Get to the game, yeah.
And so I don't.
If there's Bojangles to be had at a tailgate, Brian, I know you're not turning it away.
I mean, I'm getting it on the way in. I don't want to get there 4 hours early and stand around. Like even we used to tailgate back in college. Like it's one of those things where it's like, dude, I just want to go watch the game and then go home and do something. I don't know, dude. It would turn into
I don't want to rush the field. I don't want to tear down goalposts.
No, dude. And dude, that was really my nature at 20 years old. It's not like I've really changed and like got old man or whatever.
You were an old man at 20.
Well, no, I think it's just always like, what is the point, right? What are we accomplishing? What am I getting out of this? Right. I guess maybe at 20 years old, there's some different motivations. You're hanging out with people and having a good time. But the now, I don't know. That's on me for sure. But I will say it has been bred into my kids. Like Banksy goes with his grandfather to games, and he's like, I don't want to tailgate. I just want to go watch the game. And so it has come across, the nature has come across my kids. Now, one of my daughters is more like my wife, and she likes everything but the game. Right. And so
I've definitely seen that. Yeah.
So anyway, it's interesting though, because you see like the guys who do it, like it's a whole show, right?
Yeah. It's a huge production. Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible that, there's just a lot of money to be made. It seems like every guy who gets on one of the like Pat McAfee shows or any of these shows, they have something they're pushing. So they get 10 or 20, $30,000, 50, 100, I don't know. And
Yeah.
they're pushing like, a blender. Like, hey, come on here, you got a blender. You want to, talk about your blender. And it's like, yeah, it's awesome blender.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny when you hear those interviews throughout the day, and guys just kind of walk down the radio row or the press row, and they're just kind of going table to table to table to table, and they always kind of give their 8-10 minutes of talk about the game or their perspective or their experience, and then, hey, yeah, well, Brian, we know you're here representing Visa or MasterCard or whatever it
That's
is,
funny.
and
I was
then they
thinking
give
the same thing.
their 2-minute pitch on whatever it is, and sometimes it's a very charitable, very honorable kind of thing, and then a lot of times it's have you seen the new Stanley mug? Whatever it is, just something
That's right. Yeah, this thing will keep
that they're
your
paying a lot of money to
yeah
do.
to keep your beverage cold for 15 hours. It's like awesome, dude.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other one that comes to mind, and there's been some memorable ones, but do you remember Marshawn Lynch a few years ago?
I can't. At least a few years ago, I couldn't even hear him speak. I didn't feel like he was speaking English most of the time that he's on. But I mean, even when he's on Pat McAfee's show, and I really enjoy like his show, or at least parts of it, like it's barely English when he's talking.
Yeah. So he was notoriously didn't really care for the media, didn't like to fulfill his obligations for some of those things, and he was like you, man, just like to go play the games, right? Do his thing, and
So
then
maybe I am more like him than I thought.
maybe you're more of Marshawn Lynch than you know. But he
Yeah.
went to the one media day, and I think that the answer he gave, and he told the press right up front, he goes, "I'm going to give the same answer to every question," and the answer was, "I just have to be here."
So I don't get fined.
Yeah, so I don't get fined. And so
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, Marshawn, you gonna score a touchdown? I just have to be here, so I don't get fined." Hey, what do you think of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's? Nah, that was not the same time, but every answer was that to every question. So
I feel like Paulie, I feel like you'd have been good at that. Even in your younger age, I feel like you could have went down Radio Row. You could have sold a speaker or something to somebody. I feel like you would have been good at it.
I'm a talker, Brian. I like talking to folks and getting to
Have
know
you
people.
always, hey, Paulie, have you always been that way? Like I enjoy like real conversation. I don't really enjoy just the pomp, the superficial.
Man, I can talk about anything with anybody for a little while at least. That's
For a little while.
for a little bit, yeah. I try to stay away from political and weather and that kind of generic stuff. It usually kind of gets down to sports, but I did I did have so I found one of my old report cards, and I thought I was a quiet kid, like through elementary, middle school ish, but apparently, so I think it was my fourth grade report card. It said, uh, Paul needs to learn to use appropriate language in class, or stop making. No, it said Paul needs to stop making inappropriate comments in class, and I don't. I don't remember like being like super disruptive or anything in fourth grade, but I mean it was handwritten on my report card. I'll have to dig it up somewhere and post it on our Instagram. So look out for that. But
Well, I remember mine. It was similar to, "Hey, Brian needs to know when to talk and not talk," and so I've kind of, and yeah, and I didn't. I definitely, as I aged, I was definitely more keep my thoughts to myself most of the time. But yeah,
yeah,
it's interesting. I go back to a lot of these guys. Like again, I would have perspective and be able to handle it, and I probably could have handled it for the last 5, 6, 8 years.
yeah,
But at 22, 23 years old, it would have drove me nuts to go in there and do that.
no,
At 25
I
years
think,
old, yeah.
yeah, I would have had fun. I remember one of the things. So I was at big league camp with the Brewers, and I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
And we were doing some like community outreach sort of stuff. They would ask players, and so we were in. I guess it's like a borough. It's called Maryville. It's kind of like West Phoenix sort of thing. And so they built a new complex out there in 1998. I was in big league camp in 2000, and they sent us to like a hospital. So it was me and it was a couple. It wasn't like Marquise Christmas stuff. It was like some yeah, AAA guys basically. And I remember actually Kyle Peterson was there, so he was a first rounder, but he was still kind of on his way up, right? And Kyle does a lot with ESPN college baseball now, so
Yep.
a really sharp guy, Stanford guy. And so we kind of go around, and it's weird. You're just wearing your top and like your baseball top and your jeans, and
How'd
people.
you do in that environment?
Well, I was 21, so I was kind of people. Like, you hold my baby. I was like, I was at that age. I wasn't super comfortable. I did it, but I wasn't like now. I hold any baby, right? Yeah, I've had 4 kids. I'm fine. But the best part, to your point about me talking, right? We went into they wanted us to talk to the nurses or something for whatever reason, and so we go into the room and they're all kind of sitting there, and it's the four of us kind of just standing up front for a few minutes before we were waiting on somebody to get in. And so there was an overhead projector, and I saw on the thing there was like a screen, and it had like kind of the agenda. And so I just started like kind of improvising, going over like like I just started running the meeting. Like I was the boss. And I was kind of making fun of the boss for kind of some of the stuff on the thing. And the nurses loved it.
Ah.
They thought it was the greatest thing. I was like, maybe I should just quit this baseball, just do stand up. Like that would be so much fun. But I like, and there was like 6 things on the agenda, and I like,
I would
you
have
know, so,
at that age, I would have stressed so bad about doing that.
oh
We
no,
get a little bit.
that was not part of the thing. I don't know why we were like standing in
Well,
front
no,
of
no, no, no. I'm
the.
just saying about going in there. We went and visited, like when we were in college, even at NC State, we'd go visit like sick kids in the hospital. So we
Yeah,
would go do that sort of thing, and it was really on me and my faults. But I dreaded that. I would rather go run 3 or 4 miles than go do that. And that was a
yeah.
terrible way to approach it. Absolutely terrible. I had no perspective when it came to how fortunate I was and those kind of things. As
It's
I've
hard.
aged,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard when you're 23. And I think about that now, like when we take our kids to games or whatever it is, and you see them at 10, 11, 12, 13, and they just want an autograph, or they just want the player to acknowledge them, or something like that. And I remember doing a lot of stuff. Man, I used to go out and sign autographs a ton. I enjoyed doing that.
I was terrible at that too, bro.
But
I
again,
had,
I was a starting pitcher, so I
yeah.
had more. You were generally preparing for a game, so you couldn't do it as much. But
I tell you where I got thrown off, dude. You would get these old guys, dude. I'm nobody, right? I'm minor league baseball, and you would get these old guys who'd come with like 6 of your cards and like stand, and then you get another guy, and you're like, dude, and then you're there for like 5, 10, it's like 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm
yeah,
like, dude, this is ridiculous. I guess
well,
I didn't think
some of
enough
that
of
you sign a
myself.
couple, then you move on. 'Cause typically, they're trying to sell them on eBay or
Yeah,
something
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I don't know. It's just a weird. I had anytime people are too big of fans, like I don't understand like people worship, right? And so
Uh,
anytime people are too big of fans, like you start crying when you see somebody or you hyperventilate when you meet somebody, it
like the
just
Beatles and Elvis and stuff back in the
yeah,
day.
I mean, I don't care outside of Jesus Christ walking in here, anybody else, you name it. It would be awesome to meet, but I wouldn't be emotionally tied into it. It's just I don't know. It's just how I'm built. I'm not a
Yeah, I'm a similar ilk. Yeah, I'm not.
and so I kind of felt that way about myself too, where it's like
Yeah,
this shouldn't. I mean, why do you want my name? It's like why do you
yeah.
want me to sign something? And so it was just again, it was my own shortcomings because there's a lot of people that enjoy doing it and having that, and I sign them now. Hey, so Paulie, I still get. I don't know why. I've been out of the game for a long time. I guess people trying to complete sets. I probably still get 6 or 8 cards a year where
Yeah,
people have
I'm
written
about
this
the same.
note.
People somehow find my address and they send them to my house. I'm like, that's all
I feel like
right.
they're probably trying to steal my identity,
Yeah.
and either way, they got my
Here you
signature.
go. You can have all this debt. Take it from me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, yeah. But that was always something. And like I said, I enjoyed. So in 2003, when I was in Pawtucket, um, they would pay us. It was either like 50 or $100 per like player outing that you would go to.
Like appearance fees.
Yeah, like a player appearance. They pay, and there was always a sign up sheet. So it was me, and another guy, Ryan Cameron. So we were both on the younger side. That team had a lot of older guys who had been around, and we were like $100 to just go sit at like a car dealership and sign some autographs, or like go to a restaurant and
Yeah.
eat some chicken tenders. You'll pay. And so we were signed up for like we were going to everywhere, and I think both of our mission and goals that year was like we want every kid in Pawtucket to have our signature. Like we were just signing everything.
Dude, and especially when you're talking about making 1,600, 1,800 bucks before, you got some bigger contracts, dude. That's
Yeah,
pretty significant if you do that a couple times a month.
yeah. So that was a lot of fun too. But so yeah, man, media day today and at the NFL at the Super Bowl, and yeah, guys do a lot of different things with it. The other thing coming up, Brian, we've talked about this a little bit. I know you're not a huge fan, but Kendrick Lamar, after coming off Artist of the Year or Album of the Year, he just won something at the Grammys, rolling right into the Super Bowl halftime performance. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Kendrick Lamar?
Paulie, you've opened my horizon. You know every song. Like I've ridden with you in the car, and you can sing, and I can sing a lot of like '90s country songs and some '80s rock, and maybe some punk here and there. But I feel like Paul, you could legitimately be a DJ. And so I would probably recognize some of Kendrick Lamar's songs, but the halftime shows in general, dude, that's when I'm snacking. I want to talk. They do nothing for me. Again, I'm the weird guy. I understand that. I wish it was a shorter halftime so we could get back to the game. I don't want this extended halftime.
So I went back and looked, and legitimately, up until like 1990, it was for the most part marching bands playing at the halftime of Super Bowls. And so that's Super Bowl 22, 23, 24. And then in 1991, so Super Bowl 25, the New Kids on the Block were legitimately kind of the first real pop band or group, art, whatever you want to call it, to perform. Then the next year was Gloria Estefan. And then the next year, I think, was the first year where it just, so Super Bowl 27. And I remember watching this one in Pasadena. It was Michael Jackson.
Okay.
And I think that's when it's like, oh, okay, now the halftime show, it's a thing, right?
Hey, my understanding, Paulie, is they pay for it themselves and understanding that they will make a ton of money off of the results of being seen by millions and millions of people at a halftime show.
I
They
mean,
pay for their production. And my understanding is it's not like the NFL pays Kendrick Lamar $20 million to go
no,
do the halftime.
I don't know how, I don't know how that goes about, but the set list from Michael Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
Jam, Billie Jean, Black or White, We Are the World, and Heal the World. So that was great. But then so my wife and I were actually talking about this. We were out for a walk. We were kind of walking the dog, trying to
Oh, nice. Having a
move some things.
little moment.
Yeah, well, just walking. Yeah, so and she's more of a country music fan. She's like, why aren't there more country music halftime shows? I didn't have a great answer for her. I know country music's really popular, but it seems like they go more for the pop and rock, and I said, well, maybe that just covers more people, but a lot of people like country. But then I go back, so the Super Bowl after Michael Jackson was Clint Black, Tanya Tucker, Travis Tritt, and the Judds. Can't get much more country than that.
It takes, but you know what, dude? It really, for the longest time, country music wasn't kind of as mainstream as it's
Yeah.
become over the last 20, 25 years. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I'm just kind of looking through the list here, and then you've obviously got the kind of one of the most notorious ones was the 2004 Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake wardrobe malfunction. So then they had that one, which was produced by MTV, which MTV got, I think, kicked out of the Super Bowl for a long time. So that one was Janet Jackson, P. Diddy, Nelly, Kid Rock, Justin Timberlake, and Jessica Simpson. So super poppy, super MTV. And
Well, and a lot of, even now, even me, it's not a huge music guy. It's pretty. Those names are obviously
those
huge
are big
then and
time.
big now.
So that one was big time. But they had the wardrobe malfunction. So the next year, they went complete opposite. And Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that covers. I mean, if you're remotely a music guy, I mean that he still hits all the the bases.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to correct myself. So the NFL does cover the production costs,
Okay.
but the artist itself does not get paid.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, these guys don't need so. A few others of note. I remember the Prince one. That one was great. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers was good. Bruno Mars, his was. I mean, Bruno Mars. I got a chance to see him in concert as well on a whole separate occasion. And I mean, that dude is just a performer.
Hey, wasn't he the one that got caught up in gambling and had to go perform at one of the casinos to make back all his money?
Bruno Mars? No. Who are you talking about?
I'm serious.
No, it's not Bruno Mars. No. No,
I'm looking.
you
Hey,
do
I'm
some
sorry.
research
I'm
on
gonna make
that.
you do one cut.
You
one
do some
cut.
research on that. I'm going to tell you about my favorite halftime show.
All
Dr.
right.
Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. Growing up a big 90s rap guy, that one was just phenomenal. And 50 Cent isn't listening here. He was in there doing those sit-ups, hanging upside down. That was just the whole stage, the whole setup was just super cool. Really enjoyed that one. And they're playing all the hits, man. They're just going through them and just absolutely love that. That was super cool.
Dude, and all those guys have so much within their history that even kind of music people appreciate their music.
Yeah. So that was a good one.
Hey, so just to confirm on that, he addressed the rumor, but the rumor was just from last year. So Bruno Mars was rumored to owe the MGM $50 million. And so, he started playing there. And so he did address it and said he was not playing out of there and not performing out of there to pay back the debt. But that was the rumor that he owed $50 million.
50 million?
50 million.
What are you betting on, dude? Like,
I mean, I don't think these guys are betting. I don't think these guys are betting like 10 or 20 bucks at a time. I think they're having $1 million, $2 million nights. I mean, you've seen like who's the owner of UFC? Dana White.
Yeah.
He does some stuff on YouTube and he'll go on and play blackjack and different games for $1 million, $2 million and be up or be down. And I guess when you got that kind of nickel, that's the only way to kind of get that adrenaline rolling, Paula.
Yeah, I'm over here throwing nickels around like manhole covers though. I can't be doing that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I feel you on that, brother.
I mean, you know what? Once we get more listeners, we get some more merch off the shelves.
$1 million? You're laying down $1 million on black or red?
No, I've been to Vegas probably 8 or 9 times. I've played one hand of blackjack, and it was on a digital, like, it wasn't even a real.
Did you win or lose?
I lost. It was stupid. It was $5. $5.
I played 3-card poker. Now I've lost some too. But I played 3-card poker, and I won $870. That's been my best. I'm sure I paid that back. Never crazy. I mean, usually putting some pretty reasonable limits on it. But if you can go and just kind of have fun, it's an experience. But otherwise, I mean, Vegas, all those buildings were built for a reason. It wasn't because people taking money out of them.
Not people winning. Yeah, I know it clearly. It's a huge thing. I just don't understand gambling.
Well, you're smart. Yeah, you're
conceptually I understand it. It does nothing for me, so I'm good with it. So, man.
Hey, speaking of, do you have any temptation to gamble on any of the football games with now how easy access it is?
No,
or not?
No, not at all. Not one. Typically, if we'll have people over for the Super Bowl, not every year, but occasionally, and I like to do the prop bet. So usually we'll have the family and the kids and things like that. So I'll create like a big whiteboard and kind of list the prop bets and let everybody and the kids kind of like, who will catch the first pass? Will Bill Belichick be wearing what color hoodie? Just stuff like that.
So you make up your own prop bets?
Yeah. Just goofy stuff like that. But so I enjoy that kind of stuff just for fun and to kind of get the kids. And then in spring training, I was always the guy who ran the March Madness pool. So I was kind of collecting money for that. But again, I never really considered that gambling. That was more kind of educated guess. I guess that's what gambling is, educated guesses. Um, but again, a bracket felt just like, especially growing in ACC country, filling out an NCAA bracket was just something you've done since you were 7, 8 years old. It's something that just has always been a part of at least who I was.
Yeah.
So that never felt like gambling. It was just like, oh, yes. And then you're throwing in 10, like everybody's throwing in $10, so it wasn't like it was huge dollars, but
yeah, it's one time not going to McDonald's or something. I get what you're saying. I mean, I would say that it is so easy now. It is tempting, right? And I've done it with my brother, and some successes, some not so much success. I feel like over a long period of time, the house wins, and so that's the reason it's so difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there's a reason they're giving you a free $5 bet every day or dollar bet, whatever it is, right? Because they're getting it covered by somebody else tenfold every day. So it's wild, man. So, all right. Well, hey, we appreciate y'all listening today. Wright Stewart podcast at Gmail. If you have questions, you want to reach out, let us know. Wright Stewart podcast at Gmail. But otherwise, we hope you have a great day. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Out. Go back.